meeting of the Historic District and Historical Commission for Thursday, May 23rd at 6 PM at 732 Main Street in the Griffin Room. We are, under state law, we're just required to inform everyone that we will be audio and video recording this meeting. If anybody also intends to audio and video record this meeting, then we would ask you to inform the chair at this time. Hearing none, we will start with a roll call, please.
Jean Steiner.
Gail Carroll.
Brendan Lowney.
Bob Doan.
Bob Bradley.
Good evening. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
I just want to reopen the public hearing for HH 2019-13. It is an application for the certificate of appropriateness, which has been filed for 265 Sisson Road for the Harwich Junior Theater, Chris Powicki applicant. Just to bring everyone back up to speed, as you know, we were here at our last meeting to discuss the placement of a sign because it's in the historic district where you're before the board on a certificate of appropriateness. I would just like to indicate that Mr. Powicki has provided us with a new mock-up of the sign. I just want to pass that around for everyone to see. And I believe when we were here last, the ultimate question was the placement of the sign with respect to the building. So please update us if you have any updates on a new suggestion or a new location.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Jean, Gail, Brendan, and Bob Squared, as well as you for being here tonight. Really appreciate your efforts to schedule a additional meeting just to hear our application. I presented an alternative diagram just to show you a version without the pediment on top. I did contact the town and interacted with the administrator's office as well as Sean Libby and ended up speaking to the building commissioner, Ray
Chesley.
About possibly changing the location. I went out to the site and I looked in it, and if we moved it, we had talked about moving it 10 feet kind of up Sisson Road. I guess that would be north on Sisson Road. Maybe it's northeast, I'm not gonna.
Close enough.
Close enough. And that would basically put it right next to one of the oak trees. There's 3 trees, there's not 2. And so I looked at the other option, which was to go up, as Mr. Bradley suggested, go up closer to the, essentially the front of the building. And the issue there starts to become line of sight. And so I spoke to the building commissioner about this, and he expressed concerns that with people taking a left, potentially out of parallel street, there would be a line of sight issue if we did move it up there. And he said, this is not before me now, it's before the Historic Commission, but he did indicate that his preference unofficially, because it's not before him, would be to leave it in its current location because of that concern over line of sight, that would potentially require a sign redesign, and he just felt like it was appropriate in its current location.
So I'll ask the question, being that 10 feet was near an oak tree, was there, it's 7 feet or at 5 feet, is it,
well,
or are we
it's
splitting hairs?
About 10 feet away from the oak tree as it stands. The spot we put it at was basically between the edge of the asphalt at the entrance to the parking lot and the tree itself. So any travel northeast, I'm going to rely on you, Bob, there, puts it closer to the oak tree, and then it has a visibility issue coming if you're coming from Sisson down towards 28.
Okay.
And so the thought was, and the recommendation was from the building commissioner, was to leave it where it was put forward in the original application, which had been approved by the town administrator. So,
Just a quick question. How many feet off the street were you putting it, off the edge of the pavement?
it's And when I talked to the building commissioner, we talked about this, that there's the possibility of a sidewalk there someday, possibly in the future. And there's a question of where is the lot line versus the road right-of-way. And we discussed citing it in the spot that makes the most sense to the building commissioner relative to proximity to the street. So,
But that's why I was wondering if there was a minimum distance or something, because when I looked at it, if you did move it up, if you had it close to the road, you'd still have pretty good sight lines, but I didn't know where that line was.
right. and
Because
it-
if they want the full 10 feet, then you're back in the trees and it's totally blocked.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sticky situation. You know, I kind of, you know, responded to your comments, Bob, and looked at placing it further toward the kind of main entrance to the building where the handicap ramp is. And, you know, the building commissioner indicated at that point it would raise issues of line of sight, and that would be a concern to them. So, you know, I'm hoping there'll be a determination tonight that the proposed location is the most appropriate one, and that it's gonna go through planning and through the building commissioner, and they'll tell us exactly where they want it in that kind of wiggle room between the road and the asphalt parking lot.
So, I went by it today, and there is the sign is there. Now, where is the proposed sign going from where the current sign is?
Okay, so the current sandwich board sign
Right,
is up close to the
to the ramp.
handicap ramp.
Right, and so that's where, if you put it, the new sign there, that's where they're saying there would be a visual problem?
There's a visual problem there because Parallel Street is back a little bit, and so if you look to your left, you'd see the sign rather than potentially the travel lane. And so the sign as proposed is moved way away from the Parallel Street intersection down towards the, right near where the parking
I
lot to the
came
building is.
down, I'm trying to think, I came down Parallel Street. No, I came down Route 24, I mean, not 24, 39, 39,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I went, then came down onto Sisson.
Took a left
and-
onto Sisson, right?
And then I took a left onto Parallel Street. No, I took a right onto Sisson and took a left onto Parallel Street. I could see, I was coming from.
She has me
yeah,
completely
I know, I was
confused.
confusing, I had to
Were you
think about-
coming, were you
I was
coming from Harwich Center, or were you
I was
coming from?
from Dennis.
You were coming from
Okay.
Dennis, right? Okay, I figured that out eventually. When you took the right,
I took a right and then a left, but it was very visible to me. You know, where in that particular location, even though it was really low on the ground, I couldn't read it real well, but that spot, but is that where it would block?
But
Is that where they're saying it would block
if I may,
the sight line?
I think the height and the breadth and the
Width
width
of
of
the
the
new one
of the new
is gonna be a
sign
visual.
and that placement may be too close. So I understand that. I do also, I will say, closer to Parallel Street, there is also a telephone pole or a light pole that's right there also, that's kind of near the corner, so I think that might impede the ability to see the sign to some degree, but I'll pass this around so you folks can see the original.
This is so much higher.
And then I guess I'll give you this,
Yeah,
which
and
is
the
the
other one faced-
mock-up of the new.
Yeah,
They're smaller.
And as regards the top of the sign, completely defer to your preference on that. And also, if you want to chamfer the posts or have a cap on the posts, that's fine as well. The alternative presented to you was just the simplest version.
Yeah. This one. And we-
this is
we
the
like
new sign,
one,
yeah.
without
I
the-
like the new one, the proposed, the one without the pediment.
Without the pediment.
Any other comments? Mr. Bradley,
Oh, comment?
any other comments?
Don't travel with Gene.
No direction.
Bring a GPS.
Anyway, I would, if that's the, I'm expressing some ignorance here. I can't quite understand why the visual thing is still difficult when it's closer to the building. I drove today, and I think I went the right way, but there were 3 traffic signs, which I had forgotten about, that are on from the corner.
At Parallel or at,
No, at Forest Street to,
okay.
up to the center. There are 3 signs right there that are yellow, of various sizes. A couple of small ones and a big triangular one. So and I didn't know the distance from the current paved road to where the sign would be. There's no I don't think there's an indication of that.
There is not.
And so I got a little confused myself on in a sense, it's a very small detail. It's a very sort of temporary thing in a way, because you may decide in the future to have more information on that sign, or you may, or whatever happens. So I have to express that I'm not terribly concerned about it. I think it would go either way.
Okay.
And
It actually would, I think he's gonna say no.
Yeah, the building inspector, yeah.
I appreciate you giving me a little more time to it, and I don't want to hold it up any further, so my feeling would be to let this go tonight somehow.
Anyone else? Mr. Doan?
No.
Okay, then the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Before you do that,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that you're going to provide guidance on what you want, whether you want the pediment or not, and if you want to discuss that further. Thank you, sorry.
Does anyone have any comments? I like either version, so I'm happy to go without the pediment if.
I like it both ways, but I like it better without the pediment.
Well, since I was the one that caused the problem, I do like simplification.
Yeah.
And if it's, I'd like to hear you respond to this, but I think I would go with the simplest of the presentations. But if you feel that's obnoxious to you, or that it has some negative effect.
I don't think so at all. The only question, it actually will save us money not to have the pediment.
Yeah.
It's just a question of, if you want the post-chamfered or anything, because we're happy with either design.
Yeah. All right, well, I think I would like it with the single font, the rectangular font.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you like the newest drawing?
Yeah.
You like the newest drawing, okay. If no other comments, then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Doan, seconded by Jean,
Yes.
by Mrs. Steiner. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries 6-0. Okay, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness with the sign without a pediment on it that was submitted this evening. And are we looking for the original location? I will leave that to you folks to tell me.
So, I guess I'd move to approve the certificate of appropriateness with the sign in the placement as we first saw on the diagram, and with the impediment, what is it called? The pediment
Without pediment?
removed. So the sign in its simplest form as given to us this evening.
Okay, so let me repeat it. We have a motion from Mrs. Carroll to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the sign with the placement in its original location, and the sign design as submitted this evening without the pediment in its simplest form.
Exactly what I said.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Brendan. Seconded by Brendan Lowney. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. So
Thank
we will
you
go
very
with
much.
this one.
Yes.
Perfect.
So will you
We'll let the
hand
bill.
that forward to the?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, we will.
I,
It's in,
again, very much appreciate your thoughtful consideration of this, and also your prompt attention to it.
We're happy to accommodate when we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll let them know, and here, it will be passed along the chain of,
Right.
Review.
Up the chain of command, so to
all
speak.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice
Folks,
evening.
have a great night.
You too.
So, that was the only item on our agenda tonight. I will ask if there's anything urgent that came up for anyone. Otherwise, we can move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
Motion made by Mrs. Carroll, seconded by Mr. Doan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Anyone in opposition? Yeah, Mr. Bradley wants to stay, hang around. We are adjourned.